Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Wealth Concept 365. Today we're gonna be talking about network devices. And if you guys remember from the previous episodes, in the first episode we talked about what networking was, and then in the second episode we talked about the different types of topologies. Now in this episode we're going to talk about different types of network devices. So stick around and watch this video till the end. If you guys are new here, do consider subscribing for future updates. And yeah, let's get started. Alright, so let's talk about network devices. In simple terms, network devices are simply any physical object that has some sort of networking functionality, such as connecting networks together, controlling traffic flow, or even providing internet access. And just to give you an idea, there are hundreds of network devices out there. However, today we'll only be learning about the most popular ones, namely the router, the switch, and the firewall. So starting off with the router, a router is probably one of the most important network devices out there because it allows us to connect different networks together. More specifically, it does two major things. The first thing is it enables communication between networks. So essentially, if you have to separate networks and you want them to communicate with each other, you would use a router to do so. And secondly, it forwards traffic based on its destination address. So for example, if you had a computer on your home network and you wanted to browse the internet, you would send a request through your router and your router would forward that request to the appropriate network based on the IP address of the website you were trying to visit. And just to give you guys a real-life example, if you had to separate Wi-Fi networks, like one at your home and one at school, your router at home would allow you to connect to your school's Wi-Fi network and vice versa. Now, moving on to the different types of routers, we have three main types, namely the first one being the standalone router, which is typically used in homes and small businesses. And these are usually the cheapest and easiest to set up. Then we have the second type, which is a router on a stick, which is more suitable for larger businesses because it can handle more traffic and has more advanced features. And lastly, we have the third type, which is a multilayer switch, which is more powerful than both of the previous types and is able to handle high levels of traffic. But of course, with this power comes a cost, and it is much more expensive. Moving on, we have the switch. A switch is another very important network device because it allows multiple devices to connect to each other and communicate. It works by sending and receiving data frames, and it uses the MAC address to determine where to send the frame. For example, if you had a computer and a printer on the same network, the switch would allow them to communicate with each other by sending the data frame from the computer to the printer. And just to give you guys a real-life example, a switch is basically like a traffic light in the network world. Just as a traffic light controls the flow of cars on the road, a switch controls the flow of data on the network. And without a switch, all the devices on the network would have to compete for access to the shared bandwidth, which could lead to a lot of collisions and inefficiencies. Moving on to the different types of switches, we have three main types. The first one being a standalone switch, which is suitable for small networks because it can only handle a limited number of devices. Then we have the second type, which is a managed switch, which is more suitable for larger networks because it has more advanced features and can handle more traffic. And lastly, we have the third type, which is a virtual switch, which is used in software-defined networking (SDN), and it can dynamically allocate bandwidth to different users based on their needs. Next, we have the firewall. A firewall is a network device that is designed to protect a network from unauthorized access or malicious activity. It acts as a barrier between the trusted internal network and the untrusted external network, such as the internet, and it uses a set of rules to control the flow of traffic and block any suspicious activity. For example, if you had a firewall protecting your home network, it would block any incoming connections from the internet unless they were initiated by a program that you allowed, such as your web browser. And just to give you guys a real-life example, imagine you have a castle and you want to protect it from invaders. You would build a wall around the castle and only allow people to enter through a gate that you control. This is similar to how a firewall works on a network. It creates a barrier between the network and the outside world and only allows traffic to pass through if it meets certain criteria. Now, moving on to the different types of firewalls, we have three main types. The first one being the first firewall, which is the most common type, and it is a software-based firewall that runs on a computer or server, and it can be configured to block different types of traffic based on predefined rules. Then we have the second type, which is a hardware firewall, which is a dedicated device that is used to protect a network, and it typically offers higher performance and more advanced features than a software-based firewall. And lastly, we have the third type, which is a next-generation firewall NGFW, which is the most advanced type of firewall, and it can perform deep packet inspection to analyze the contents of traffic and block threats more effectively. And to sum everything up, here's a table that shows the differences between routers, switches, and firewalls. And now let me ask you some practice quiz questions. Question 1. Which network device is responsible for forwarding traffic based on its destination address? Is it the router, the switch, or the firewall? Well, the answer is the router. Question 2. Which network device uses the MAC address to determine where to send a data frame? Is it the router, the switch, or the firewall? Well, the answer is the switch. And question 3. Which network device is responsible for protecting a network from unauthorized access or malicious activity? Is it the router, the switch, or the firewall? Well, the answer is the firewall. Now you've learned about the three most popular network devices, namely the router, the switch, and the firewall. To solidify your learning, let's try some hands-on exercises on a network simulation platform. Now, if you guys don't know already, I'm currently working on a tutorial for Packet Tracer 7, which is a network simulation software. And once that tutorial is done, I'll upload it to another channel. So if you guys are interested, do check out that channel. And yeah, I'll leave a link to that channel down in the description box. Now let's go ahead and start our first exercise, which is to design a simple network that includes a router, a switch, and a firewall. Alright, so we're currently on the scratch pad and we're gonna start designing our network. First, we're gonna drag out a router and place it in the middle of the network. Next, we add in a switch and connect it to one of the ports on the router. After that, we add in a firewall and connect it to another port on the router. And lastly, we're gonna add in some computers and connect them to the switch. And voila, we've successfully designed a simple network that includes a router, a switch, and a firewall. Now let's try another exercise, which is to configure the firewall to block certain types of traffic. So first, we're gonna double-click on the firewall to open up the configuration window. Next, we're gonna go to the Traffic Rules tab and click on Add. We're gonna select the type of traffic we want to block and click OK. And lastly, we're gonna repeat the process until we've blocked all the traffic we want. And voila, we've successfully configured the firewall to block certain types of traffic. And that's it for our first lesson on network devices. In this lesson, we learned about three of the most popular network devices out there, namely the router, the switch, and the firewall. And we also learned about the different types of each device and how they work. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future updates. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.